Did you know that behind the red carpets and flashing cameras, many Hollywood stars quietly battle with mental health struggles? From Sophie Turner, who courageously revealed how the pressures of fame and social media took a toll on her well-being, to Halle Berry, who began facing emotional challenges after her painful divorce from David Justice in 1997, these stories remind us that even the biggest stars are not immune to inner turmoil. In this video, we're shedding light on 25 famous Hollywood actors who have faced mental health battles, proving that behind every glamorous image is a real human story waiting to be heard. Beyoncé isn't just a global superstar. She's a cultural icon whose influence has shaped an entire generation. As a singer, songwriter, and actress, her impact goes far beyond the stage. Billboard crowned her the greatest pop star of the 21st century, while Rolling Stone hailed her as one of the greatest vocalists of all time. But Beyoncé's legacy isn't only built on her chart-topping hits or blockbuster performances, it's also rooted in her honesty and vulnerability. At the height of her fame, Beyoncé made the brave decision to step away from the spotlight to focus on her mental health. "It was starting to get blurry," she confessed. "I couldn't even tell what day it was or what city I was in." It was her mother who urged her to slow down, reminding her that taking care of her mental well-being wasn't optional, it was essential. In a powerful interview with Elle, Beyoncé opened up about the importance of self-care, especially for women. "We have to take the time to focus on our mental health," she said. "Take time for ourselves, for the spiritual, without feeling guilty or selfish. The world will see you the way you see yourself, and treat you the way you treat yourself." Dwayne Johnson, better known to millions as The Rock, is more than just a global superstar. He's an American actor, legendary professional wrestler, and savvy entrepreneur whose larger-than-life persona has captivated fans across the world. From electrifying arenas in the WWE to dominating box office hits like Fast and Furious, Jumanji, and The Scorpion King, Johnson has built an empire on charisma, grit, and relentless determination. But behind the muscles and million-dollar smile lies a man who's fought battles most never see. At just 18 years old, Dwayne faced his first encounter with depression, a dark chapter triggered by his mother's attempted suicide. In a 2021 interview with People magazine, he reflected, "The first time I experienced depression, I had no idea what it was." For years, he carried that pain in silence, not knowing how to ask for help. Eventually, Johnson made the courageous decision to seek professional support, turning to both a psychologist and a psychotherapist. Surrounded by a strong network of family and friends, he began the journey toward healing. Today, he speaks openly about mental health, reminding others that real strength isn't about hiding your struggles. It's about facing them head-on and knowing when to ask for help. Ryan Reynolds, the quick-witted actor best known for bringing Deadpool to life, has long been a Hollywood favorite. But behind the charm and humor lies a deeper, more vulnerable story, one he bravely opened up about in May 2021. For the first time, Ryan spoke publicly about his lifelong battle with anxiety, revealing that it was the love and support of his wife, Blake Lively, and their 4 daughters that gave him the strength to finally share his truth. "As a parent," he said, "part of my job is to show my kids that it's okay to feel sad, anxious, or even angry. There's room for all of that." Growing up, Ryan didn't see those emotions expressed at home, not out of neglect, but because his parents' generation simply didn't talk about mental health the way we do today. That same year, in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, he posted a heartfelt message on Instagram, calling anxiety his lifelong pal, and sending love to everyone like me who overthinks, overworks, overworries, and just over everythings. His words struck a chord with millions. "You're not alone." Then, in a 2022 interview on CBS Sunday Morning, Ryan pulled back the curtain even further. "I've had anxiety my whole life," he confessed. "There's like this split in my personality, one part that takes over when the other is struggling." He recalled the sheer panic he'd feel before stepping onto late-night stages. "I remember standing backstage before Letterman, thinking, I'm going to die. The curtain's going to rise, and I'll be a symphony of vomit. Something awful is about to happen." Through honesty and humor, Ryan Reynolds is proving that even superheroes have battles behind the scenes, and that sharing those battles can be the most heroic act of all. Britney Spears. Since being diagnosed with bipolar disorder in 2007, Britney Spears has faced her mental health battles under the harsh glare of the public eye. Her struggles reached a breaking point in 2008, when a series of alarming incidents led to 2 psychiatric hospitalizations. One of the most concerning moments came when police, responding to a call at her home, found her disoriented and suspected she was under the influence of an unknown substance. She was subsequently hospitalized at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center and later placed on a 5,150 involuntary psychiatric hold at the Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center, a sobering testament to just how dire things had become. Years later, in 2017, Britney reflected on that turbulent period with raw honesty. "I think I had to give myself more breaks throughout my career and take responsibility for my mental health," she said. "Back then I was lost. I didn't know what to do with myself. I was trying to please everyone around me because that's just who I am." She admitted there are times she looks back and wonders, what the hell was I thinking? But despite the chaos and pain, Britney's story is one of survival. She weathered the storm and slowly reclaimed her strength. Today, she's doing better, and her journey stands as a powerful reminder of the importance of self-care, resilience, and finding your own voice in a world that often tries to silence it. Halle Berry. Halle Berry, the acclaimed American actress who stole hearts in the romantic comedy Boomerang, has faced battles far deeper than anything we've seen on screen. After her painful divorce from baseball star David Justice in 1997, Halle spiraled into a dark and lonely place. In a raw interview with Ebony magazine that same year, she revealed just how deep the heartbreak cut. She described one harrowing moment where she sat in her garage, crying for hours, her dogs by her side, completely consumed by grief. It was the thought of her mother, her sacrifices, her unconditional love, that pulled Halle back from the edge. "My mother gave up so much for me," she said. "Ending my life would have been the most selfish thing I could do." That breakup didn't just leave her heartbroken, it shattered her self-worth. "I had to reprogram my mind," she admitted. "Just because someone didn't love me didn't mean I was unlovable." It was a brutal lesson in self-love and resilience, but Halle made herself a promise. Never again would she let pain or fear control her. Determined to heal, she turned to therapy, not as a sign of weakness, but of strength. "People think therapy means you're crazy," she once said. "But not getting help when you need it? That's what's really crazy." To her, therapy became a lifeline, a way to rebuild, to understand, to grow. And even now, she continues to make her mental health a priority. In a 2021 interview, she opened up about how therapy still plays a key role in her life. "I try not to let my problems affect others," she said. "But that means I have to deal with things in a healthy way." For Halle Berry, strength isn't about pretending to be okay. It's about doing the hard work to truly be okay. Emma Thompson. Emma Thompson, the acclaimed British actress and screenwriter, has never shied away from speaking her truth, even when it's painful. She's been candid about her battle with clinical depression, once admitting, "I suffer from occasional mild depression, and I think it's something many people go through, but few ever talk about." At her lowest, even the simplest tasks felt impossible. She described days when she couldn't muster the energy to change clothes or wash a single dish. "I've been there," she confessed in an interview, stuck in the same clothes, not washing, just wishing everything would stop. It's not about wanting to die, it's about wanting everything to pause, to just switch off. Much of her pain, she revealed, stemmed from the emotional fallout of her crumbling marriage to actor-director Kenneth Branagh. It wasn't until she poured herself into writing the screenplay for Sense and Sensibility that she began to claw her way back from the darkness. That creative process became a lifeline. Emma also credits her second husband, actor Greg Wise, with playing a major role in her healing. "Greg picked up the pieces," she said, "and slowly put them back together again." In 2022, Emma shared her hard-earned insights on mental health in an essay for the Sunday Times, which was later included in Scarlett Curtis's powerful anthology, It's Not Okay to Feel Blue, and Other Lies. Through her honesty, Emma has become a quiet but powerful voice in the conversation around mental wellness, reminding us that even in the spotlight, stars can feel lost too. Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle, once a successful American actress and now the Duchess of Sussex, opened up about a deeply painful chapter in her life, one that unfolded while she was pregnant with her son, Archie. In her powerful 2021 interview with Oprah Winfrey, Meghan revealed that she battled severe depression, admitting that she had frightening thoughts of ending her life. "I just didn't want to be alive anymore," she confessed, her words echoing the silent pain so many struggle to express. Though she knew she needed help, Meghan was initially terrified to ask for it. She feared how Prince Harry might react, and even more so, how the royal family would respond. When she finally mustered the courage to speak up, her worst fears were confirmed. She went to the palace and said plainly, "I've never felt like this before. I need help." But instead of support, she was told seeking treatment wouldn't be good for the institution. Even the royal household's HR department, despite expressing sympathy, told her there was nothing they could do. Desperate and unheard, Meghan and Harry made the difficult decision to step back from their royal duties in January 2020. Reflecting on that time, Meghan said, "I share this because so many people are afraid to admit they need help. I know what it's like to be silenced, to send emails begging for support, saying clearly, 'I am concerned for my mental welfare,' and to have those pleas ignored." In the end, they realized they had to choose their mental health over royal expectations, and found their own way forward. Janet Jackson. Janet Jackson, singer, songwriter, actress, and dancer, was born into music royalty as the youngest of the legendary Jackson family. She first took the stage at the MGM Grand and quickly captured the spotlight. By 1976, she was already a household name, starring in the variety show The Jacksons, and went on to charm audiences in hit series like Good Times, Different Strokes, and fame throughout the late 70s and early 80s. But behind the glitz and fame, Janet faced a much darker battle, one that fame couldn't shield her from. By her 30s, she was grappling with deep depression and anxiety, a journey she later poured into her raw and introspective sixth album, The Velvet Rope, released in October 1997. In a candid 2018 interview with Essence, she revealed how overwhelming the struggle truly was. "It was intense," she said. "I could analyze the source of my depression forever. Maybe it was low self-esteem rooted in childhood, maybe it was the crushing weight of perfectionism. And then, of course, there's racism, sexism, put it all together, and depression becomes a tenacious and terrifying force." Jackson also opened up about her battle with obsessive-compulsive disorder, recalling a harrowing moment in 2013 when she suffered a breakdown mid-flight. She reportedly spent 40 minutes disinfecting her seat and the entire surrounding area with antibacterial spray and tissues. It was a haunting reminder that mental illness doesn't discriminate, even against icons. Stephen Fry. Stephen Fry, the beloved English actor, comedian, writer, and broadcaster, first captured the public's heart as one half of the iconic comedy duo Fry and Laurie, alongside longtime friend Hugh Laurie. From their witty skits on A Bit of Fry and Laurie to the charming period series Jeeves and Wooster, Fry's brilliance lit up the screen. But behind the laughter, a silent battle raged. For years, Fry wrestled with cyclothymia, a milder yet still tormenting form of bipolar disorder. In 1995, during a run of the West End play Cellmates, that struggle came to a breaking point. Mid-performance, Fry suffered a nervous breakdown and vanished without warning, leaving the production in chaos and his co-star Rick Mayall and playwright Simon Gray stunned and heartbroken. For several days, no one knew where he was. Alone and in despair, Fry contemplated ending his life, but in a haunting moment of clarity, the idea of simply disappearing became his lifeline. He fled England by ferry and ended up in Belgium, a ghost of himself trying to outrun the pain. Sadly, his demons would return. In 2012, while filming abroad, Fry attempted to take his life once again, this time with a dangerous mix of pills and vodka. He was rushed back to the UK to receive care. But rather than hide his suffering, Fry chose to speak out. He transformed his pain into purpose, becoming a passionate mental health advocate. As president of the charity Mind and a supporter of Stand to Reason, he has worked tirelessly to break the stigma around mental illness. In 2013, he began medication to help manage his condition more effectively, and by 2018, he joined forces with Sport Relief, appearing alongside Nadia Hussein and Ali Alexander to raise awareness for mental health. Stephen Fry's journey is a powerful reminder. Even the brightest stars can struggle in the shadows, but when they speak, they shine a light for others to find their way. Sarah Michelle Gellar. Sarah Michelle Gellar, forever etched in pop culture as the fierce and fearless Buffy the Vampire Slayer, has shown remarkable vulnerability off-screen by opening up about her battles with mental health. In a candid 2011 interview, she revealed her struggle with body dysmorphic disorder, a condition that distorts how one sees their own body, often magnifying flaws no one else notices. For Sarah, it got so severe that she avoided mirrors altogether, something even her makeup artist picked up on. "I totally have body dysmorphic disorder," she admitted. "I think most women do." Motherhood shifted her perspective, but it didn't erase the challenges. After giving birth to her 2 children, Sarah faced a new wave of insecurities about her postpartum body. "To create life is amazing," she said, "but it's hard to get back to where you were." The relentless pressure from the public to bounce back didn't help. "I tried to block it out, but I'd be lying if I said those comments didn't hurt." Alongside regular workouts, she also turned to procedures like cool sculpting to regain confidence in her skin. But perhaps the most powerful reveal came when Sarah spoke openly about postpartum depression, which hit after the birth of her daughter Charlotte. Rather than staying silent, she chose to share her experience, reminding other women that even strong, successful figures like herself can face the darkness and still find their way through it. Elizabeth Olsen. Elizabeth Olsen, best known for bringing Wanda Maximoff to life in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, has captivated audiences with her powerful performances, not just in superhero blockbusters, but in critically acclaimed films like Martha Marcy, May Marlene, and Wind River. But behind the red carpet glamour and action-packed roles, Elizabeth has faced a very real, deeply personal struggle. In a candid 2022 interview with Variety, she opened up about battling anxiety and panic attacks, something she didn't even recognize until it hit her head-on at just 21, while living alone in New York City. One moment in particular still haunts her. "I remember getting panic attacks on the hour, every hour," she said. "I was living on 13th Street between 6th and 7th, and I was trying to cross 6th Avenue at 14th Street. Suddenly I just froze. I pressed my back against the wall, convinced I was going to drop dead right there." It was a terrifying chapter in her life. But with the help of a close friend and a medical professional, Elizabeth slowly began to understand what was happening to her, and more importantly, how to manage it. Through therapy and support, she learned to navigate the overwhelming spiral of anxiety, finding strength not just on screen, but within herself. Sophie Turner. Sophie Turner, the talented actress who skyrocketed to fame as Sansa Stark on HBO's Game of Thrones, seemed to have it all: critical acclaim, an Emmy nomination in 2019, and a place among Hollywood's elite. But behind the red carpets and applause, Sophie was silently fighting a battle few could see. In a raw and emotional interview with Dr. Phil, she revealed just how deeply fame and social media impacted her mental health. The constant flood of negative comments about her looks and acting didn't just sting, they stuck. "I'd believe it," she admitted. "I'd think, yeah, I am spotty. I'm fat. I am a bad actress." Those cruel words took root, affecting her self-esteem so deeply that she began asking the costume team to tighten her corset more than necessary, trying to shrink herself both physically and emotionally. Over time, the weight of that insecurity led to a dark spiral. Sophie lost interest in life outside the set. She didn't want to see friends, go out, or even get dressed. "I would just cry and cry," she shared. "Even putting on clothes felt like too much. I'd think, I can't do this. I can't go outside." But with the support of therapy and her now husband Joe Jonas, Sophie slowly found her way back to herself. She began to heal, to rediscover her voice and worth beyond the screen. Reflecting on her journey, she urged others to seek help when they're struggling. "Everyone needs a therapist," she said. "Especially when the world keeps telling you you're not good enough." Brooke Shields. Brooke Shields, the iconic American actress who rose to fame at just 12 years old with her role in Louis Malle's controversial film Pretty Baby, is also widely recognized for her starring role in the NBC sitcom Suddenly Susan, which earned her 2 Golden Globe nominations. But behind the spotlight and red carpets, Shields faced one of the darkest chapters of her life following the birth of her first daughter, Rowan Frances, in 2003. She was diagnosed with postpartum depression, a condition that affects many new mothers but is often left unspoken. In 2005, Brooke broke the silence. Through heartfelt interviews, an emotional appearance on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and her candid memoir Down Came the Rain, My Journey Through Postpartum Depression, she opened up about the mental and emotional anguish she endured. Shields revealed how the illness stripped her of joy, clouded her mind with thoughts of self-harm, and made it nearly impossible to bond with her newborn. At her lowest point, even a glance at a window could trigger a chilling thought. I just want to leap out of my life. But then a flicker of reason would return. You're only on the 4th floor. You'll survive, and then you'll just be in more pain. It was raw. It was real. And it was a wake-up call for many. Despite the torment, Brooke found the strength to seek help early, lean on a support system, and shine a light on an issue too often hidden in the shadows. Her bravery not only helped in her healing but also gave countless other women the courage to speak up and seek help too. Taraji P. Henson. Taraji P. Henson isn't just a powerhouse on screen with standout performances in Hustle and Flow and The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. She's also become a fierce mental health advocate, driven by a deeply personal mission. Inspired by her father, who struggled with PTSD and bipolar disorder, Taraji founded the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation in 2018 to break the silence and provide mental health resources, particularly for the Black community. Just a year later, she stood before Congress, her voice trembling with emotion, as she spoke about the silent epidemic of mental health issues plaguing African Americans. In 2020, during the height of the pandemic, Taraji bravely revealed that she had experienced suicidal thoughts. But she didn't stay silent. She sought help and found healing through therapy. Therapy has truly saved my life, she shared, noting that she speaks to her therapist twice a week, whether in person or over video calls when she's traveling. I can call her anytime I'm having a moment, and she's there. I was lucky to find someone who really understands me. Taraji has been unflinchingly honest about the stigma around mental health in the Black community. Speaking with Essence, she said, "I've experienced mental illness in my family. I've seen it in my community and even in the workplace. When it comes to African American people, we don't deal with it. We pray about it, we shun it, we just don't talk about it. But how can we heal if we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable?" Jim Carrey, the iconic Canadian-American actor and comedian, is known for his explosive energy, rubber-faced expressions, and unforgettable slapstick performances. But behind the laughter lies a deeper, more complex story, one marked by personal battles with mental health. Throughout his life, Carrey has grappled with depression and was diagnosed with ADHD, a condition often intertwined with emotional challenges. Even as a child, Carrey was a whirlwind of energy. He once described himself as restless, racing through schoolwork only to stir up his classmates afterward, an early clue to the ADHD that would shape much of his life. Rather than hide it, Carrey has bravely spoken out about his struggles, using his platform to raise awareness and foster understanding around mental health. In a raw and revealing 2018 interview with the Herald Sun, Carrey shared how depression nearly drove him to walk away from Hollywood altogether. "Depression," he said, "is your body and psyche saying, 'I'm exhausted from playing this character you've created.'" It was a powerful reflection on the toll of constantly performing, not just on screen but in life. Yet through it all, Carrey has continued to fight. From childhood treatments to adult self-discovery, he's navigated the darkness with courage and creativity. His story isn't just one of fame, it's a reminder that even the brightest stars can face shadows, and that vulnerability can be a source of strength. Amanda Seyfried. Amanda Seyfried may have lit up the screen as the bubbly Karen in Mean Girls, but behind that dazzling smile was a young woman quietly fighting her own battles. She began acting at just 15, landing a role on As the World Turns before earning recognition in standout performances like Lily Kane in Veronica Mars and Sarah Henriksen in Big Love. While her career soared, Amanda was privately struggling with anxiety, OCD, and debilitating panic attacks. For years, she avoided live theater out of sheer stage fright, until 2015, when she finally faced her fear and stepped onto the stage. In a candid interview, Amanda opened up about her mental health journey, saying, "If I'd only known when I was obsessive-compulsive at 10, I would have told my parents. I wouldn't have thought I was crazy. But I did. I thought I was crazy." She described the rituals and superstitions she once hid from the world, believing no one would understand. Now, she's part of a growing movement that's breaking the stigma around mental health, encouraging others to speak up and seek help. "Mental illness is still treated differently from physical illness," she once said, "but it shouldn't be. It's just as important." Her courage in sharing her truth has made her not only a celebrated actress but a powerful voice for mental health awareness. Pete Davidson. Pete Davidson is a comedian, actor, and writer who first rose to prominence in the early 2010s through brief appearances on shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Friends of the People, Guy Code, and Wild 'N Out. But his big break came in 2014 when he joined the cast of NBC's iconic sketch comedy series Saturday Night Live, where he remained a standout for 8 seasons until 2022. Behind the scenes, however, Pete was battling inner demons. In a raw and revealing 2017 episode of the WTF with Mark Maron podcast, he opened up about being diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, BPD. The diagnosis followed a string of emotional breakdowns and uncontrollable rage. As Pete recalled, one of my psychiatrists said, "Before a big meltdown, you're probably bipolar or borderline, we just need to figure it out." Turns out it was BPD. While the diagnosis brought some clarity, the road ahead was anything but easy. Pete described that year as the darkest of his life, plagued by constant depression. He eventually sought consistent therapy and began medication that slowly helped him regain some stability. Yet in December 2018, fans were shaken when he posted a deeply vulnerable message on Instagram hinting at self-harm before deleting his account altogether. The post was alarming enough to prompt a wellness check by the NYPD. Ruby Rose. Ruby Rose, the striking Australian model, actress, and television presenter, first stepped into the spotlight as an MTV Australia host. But behind the glamorous red carpets and action-packed roles in Orange is the New Black, Resident Evil, the final chapter, XXX, Return of Xander Cage and John Wick, Chapter 2, was a woman quietly battling inner demons. Ruby's fight with mental health began early. She was just 13 when she first faced the heavy grip of depression. By 16, she was diagnosed with major depressive disorder, and at 18, a shocking discovery, she had dissociative amnesia. Entire years of her life had vanished from memory, and it wasn't until a childhood friend recognized her, someone Ruby couldn't remember at all, that she realized how much had been lost. For years, Ruby was misdiagnosed, even being told she had bipolar disorder. She cycled through therapy, meditation, and self-help books. Some medications only deepened the darkness. There were hospital stays and heartbreaking moments of self-harm, some starting as early as age 12. It wasn't until a detailed brain scan and intensive therapy that she finally received clarity: complex post-traumatic stress disorder, compounded by clinical depression. Today, Ruby Rose continues to fight for her well-being, openly, bravely, offering a voice to those struggling in silence and proving that strength isn't about hiding your scars, but embracing them. Jeremy Brett. Jeremy Brett, the legendary English actor who brought Sherlock Holmes to life in Granada TV's acclaimed series, was more than just the brilliant detective we saw on screen. His mesmerizing performance captivated millions. But behind those piercing eyes and razor-sharp lines was a man quietly battling a storm within. By 1986, Brett began experiencing severe mood swings that deeply concerned those closest to him. After much urging from his family, he finally sought medical help and received a diagnosis that would change the course of his life: bipolar disorder, then known as manic depression. To manage the condition, he was prescribed lithium, a powerful medication that helped balance his mood but came at a cost. weight gain, fluid retention, and a noticeable slowing of his once vibrant energy. Still, Brett was determined. He wasn't ready to let go of Holmes or the stage. In 1987, he made a triumphant return in The Sign of 4. But behind the scenes, the toll of his illness was becoming harder to hide. His physical health declined, and he was hospitalized multiple times. As filming continued into the final season, Brett's once commanding presence visibly faded, and he even collapsed on set. Yet through it all, he remained courageous and unflinchingly honest. Jeremy Brett didn't hide his battle. He spoke openly about mental health, urging others to pay attention to the signs and seek help. His legacy isn't just that of the greatest Sherlock Holmes ever portrayed. It's also a testament to resilience, vulnerability, and the quiet strength it takes to fight a war that no one else can see. Lily Reinhart. Lily Reinhart, the American actress best known for bringing Betty Cooper to life on the hit CW series Riverdale and for her role as Annabelle in the crime drama Hustlers, hasn't just captivated audiences on screen, she's also opened up about the personal battles she's faced behind the scenes. Long before fame came calling, Lily was a struggling young actress in Los Angeles, silently grappling with anxiety and depression. At one point, the pressure became unbearable. She experienced what she described as the worst panic attack of her life. In a revealing 2017 interview with W Magazine, Lily shared how the relentless cycle of auditions, survival jobs, and isolation drove her to a breaking point. "I felt like my world was crashing," she admitted. The weight was too much, and she made a bold decision. She packed up her life in LA and moved back in with her parents in North Carolina to focus on her mental health. Back home, she reconnected with her old therapist and began taking medication to help manage her anxiety. It was a time of healing, rebuilding, and rediscovery. And just when things started to stabilize, something unexpected happened. She got her first audition for Riverdale. Still adjusting to her medication and trying to find her footing, Lily dove into the opportunity. One of the medications even caused extreme mood swings, but she persevered. Against the odds, she landed the role that would change her life forever. If you're enjoying this story, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Tap that subscribe button so you never miss another powerful story like this. Margot Kidder. Margot Kidder, the unforgettable Canadian-American actress best known for bringing Lois Lane to life in the original Superman films, lived a life that was far more dramatic off-screen than most ever knew. Diagnosed with bipolar disorder in 1988, she initially rejected the label and the lithium treatment doctors prescribed. But in December 1990, while filming a pilot for Nancy Drew and Daughter, tragedy struck. A devastating car accident left her partially paralyzed with a severe spinal injury. It was during that painful recovery that Kidder finally acknowledged the truth she had long tried to ignore. She had been silently battling bipolar disorder for years. Then came April 1996, when Margot made headlines for all the wrong reasons. After a computer virus wiped out 3 years of work on her autobiography, she flew to California in a desperate attempt to salvage the files. When data recovery experts failed her, she spiraled into a manic episode and vanished. For 4 days, no one knew where she was, until a homeowner in Glendale found her in their backyard, dazed, disheveled, and clearly in distress. Authorities revealed she had been assaulted during those missing days. Margot was taken to a psychiatric facility for evaluation. But that wasn't the end of her story, it was a turning point. In the years that followed, she made a stunning comeback, landing roles in TV and film, and emerging as a fierce mental health advocate. She openly embraced alternative therapies like acupuncture and rejected the traditional psychiatric path. In a 2005 interview with The Guardian, she declared, "I'm now ferociously healthy in body and mind. You couldn't pay me to go near a psychiatrist again. Stopping seeing them was my first step to getting well." Margot Kidder didn't just survive, she transformed her pain into power. Brittany Snow. Brittany Snow, best known for her standout roles in Pitch Perfect and Hairspray, began her rise to fame as a teenager on the soap opera Guiding Light. But behind the scenes, while her star was rising, she was quietly battling a far darker reality: anorexia, depression, and self-harm. In 2007, At a time when mental health was still largely taboo, Britney made a bold move. She shared her 9-year struggle in a raw, heartfelt essay for People magazine. Her honesty was groundbreaking, but it came at a cost. Critics labeled her attention-seeking and overdramatic. Looking back, Britney admitted, "I wasn't ready for the backlash. I didn't have the tools to help myself, let alone anyone else." The harsh public reaction took a toll. Overwhelmed by anxiety, she stepped away from the spotlight to heal. But Britney didn't stay down for long. With time, strength, and a renewed sense of purpose, she returned to acting and became a powerful advocate for mental health. She co-founded the Love is Louder movement with the JED Foundation, tackling issues like bullying, body image, and depression. Her message is clear: healing starts with honesty, and no one should have to struggle in silence. Lisa Nicole Carson. Lisa Nicole Carson lit up the screen with her unforgettable performances in ER and Ally McBeal, where she played the fiery and fearless prosecutor Renee Raddick from 1997 to 2002. Her talent was undeniable, earning her multiple award nominations and a place in the hearts of fans. But while her star was rising on screen, behind the scenes, Lisa was facing a storm that would change everything. In 2000, she suffered a devastating mental health crisis in a Manhattan hotel that led to her arrest and subsequent hospitalization. Whispers of erratic behavior and rumored substance abuse followed her, and soon after, she was let go from both ER and Ally McBeal. Her once bright career seemed to vanish overnight. Lisa stepped away from the spotlight, retreating to New York to focus on her health and healing. For over a decade, she stayed silent, battling her demons away from Hollywood's glare. But in 2012, she made a quiet yet powerful comeback, reprising her role as Renee Raddick in Harry's Law. Then, in a raw and honest 2015 interview with Essence, Lisa opened up about living with bipolar disorder. "I see a psychiatrist and a psychologist regularly and now just take anti-anxiety medication," she revealed. "I'm tackling the myth that African American women have to be pillars of strength. We have the right to fall. We have the right not to always have our stuff together." Her words, like her performances, were fearless, shining a light on the importance of mental health, vulnerability, and self-acceptance. Clara Bow, the dazzling icon of the silent film era, rose to fame in the 1920s with a magnetic presence that lit up the screen. Her breakout role as a spirited shop girl captured hearts around the globe and earned her the unforgettable title of the It Girl. She wasn't just a star, she was a cultural phenomenon. When Hollywood made the leap to sound in 1929, many silent film actors faded into obscurity. But not Clara. She adapted with ease, proving her talent was more than just visual charm. Yet behind the glamour and the flashing cameras, Clara's personal life began to unravel. After retiring from the spotlight, her world turned inward. She became reclusive, isolating herself from friends, and even from her husband. She wouldn't let him go out alone, but also refused to spend time with him. In 1944, while he was running for Congress, Clara tried to take her own life, leaving behind a heartbreaking note that read, "I would rather be dead than live in the spotlight." By 1949, Clara sought help at the Institute of Living, desperate for relief from crippling insomnia and mysterious stomach pain. Doctors administered shock treatments and labeled her IQ as bright normal, but their findings painted a troubling picture. She was indecisive, detached, and emotionally fragile. Though she was diagnosed with schizophrenia, she experienced no hallucinations. Some doctors believed her struggles stemmed from a horrific trauma in 1922 when she narrowly escaped a knife attack. Clara, however, refused to accept those explanations. Eventually, she walked away from treatment and from her family. Clara chose a life of solitude, settling in a modest bungalow where she rarely stepped outside. The woman who once captivated millions with a single look now lived in near silence, her final years marked by loneliness and quiet suffering. She died as she had lived in her later years, not as the It Girl, but as a fading shadow of a once brilliant star. Vivien Leigh. Vivien Leigh, the unforgettable British actress best known for her iconic roles as Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind and Blanche DuBois in A Streetcar Named Desire, lived a life as dramatic as the characters she portrayed. Behind the beauty, talent, and accolades, however, was a woman silently battling a storm within. In January 1953, while filming Elephant Walk in Ceylon with co-star Peter Finch, Vivian suffered a severe nervous breakdown. The production was forced to replace her with Elizabeth Taylor, and her husband, legendary actor Laurence Olivier, brought her back to Britain for treatment. Though she began to recover over the following months, the secret of her illness slowly unraveled. Friends in the industry, like actor David Niven, remarked she had become quite mad, while playwright Noel Coward noted in his diary that her mental health had noticeably declined since 1948. Vivian's struggle with manic depression, now known as bipolar disorder, haunted her career and personal life. In 1956, after accepting the lead in Noel Coward's South Sea Bubble, she had to step away after discovering she was pregnant. Tragically, she suffered a miscarriage just weeks later, plunging her into a deep and lasting depression. Even accompanying Olivier on a European tour of Titus Andronicus couldn't mask the toll her illness had taken. Frequent emotional outbursts overshadowed their time abroad, and Olivier later wrote in his autobiography about how her condition became a deadly, ever-tightening spiral that strained their marriage. Still, despite the chaos within, Vivian Leigh wore a brave face. Most never saw the depth of her suffering. Her story serves as a powerful reminder that fame and brilliance don't shield anyone from the pain of mental illness. What are your thoughts on Vivian Leigh and the hidden struggles of Hollywood legends? Share your opinions in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more powerful stories behind the spotlight.